Heyo, my name is Minishadow, and welcome to my Merchant Guide. I will be splitting this guide up into multiple talking points, with chapters for you to jump around. These talking points are the UI, the task board, combo training, milestones, and trade routing. The routing section will be the most complicated part, while the other talking points will help bridge that understanding gap. The goal of this guide is to try and provide some understanding on how to optimally route your trades, not to hold your hand and tell you what to do. Let's start with a general description on what Merchant actually is. Merchant basically consists of a bunch of starting points and ending points. Trying to batch these starting and ending points together as quickly as you can while minimizing travel time will increase your efficiency at the skill. The more you batch, the lower your travel time gets, the more efficient you'll be. You can also try and pair these starting and ending points with other skills, which we'll get into later. Starting with the UI, setting it up in a clean and functional way will help you throughout the entirety of the skill. You can actually drag and drop these icons to other corners of the UI, giving you a lot of freedom to customize it for whichever task you are doing. For Merchant, you'll want to always have access to your inventory as well as your bounties. I drag and drop them onto the left side of my screen so they're right on top of each other. I then keep the window resized in a way where my inventory is in 4 rows of 6. Since all trades require 6 items, this setup gives you the cleanest and easiest readability. Since speed equals experience, any amount of time saved, even seconds, will add up over time. The last piece of UI I customize is the map. I close one of the side wings, then open up the map, allowing you to resize it to however you would like. I literally keep it the size of my screen, and I would honestly never close it if I could actually interact with the icons on the map itself. Next up is the Merchant Task Board. I'm going to speak about the board in a general sense so that I can talk about the specifics of things over the next 3 chapters. The Merchant Task Board is located in the Merchants Guild on the east side of Chronopolis. This board will give you 6 random tasks that refresh every 2 minutes. You can choose any task presented, up to 6 total. This is one of the moments where having the bounties and inventory UI available at all times is so helpful. Now, there are times where you get terrible RNG, leaving you with awful options that won't feel good to do. As stated earlier, one of your biggest goals with Merchant is to lower your travel time. Similar to this, another goal is to maximize your downtime. During these bad RNG periods, you have a few options depending on your current focus or goals. In no particular order, option 1 would be to run a nearby or quick trade route like beef joints, landscape paintings, or caviar. There are many more nearby items, but the general idea is to just run a trade route that's nearby or quick. To pair with this, you can plan ahead by buying these trade items beforehand when possible and keep them dropped on the floor inside the Merchants Guild until needed. Dropped items will last for 10 minutes before despawning. This does require more physical and mental effort, but can be very worthwhile as it tremendously decreases your trade route time, helping you maximize that downtime. A couple examples would be ribs if I'm running soap, bananas, or watches, as the turn-in is in front of the Merchant Guild. Another would be buying the nearby beef joints or landscape paintings, as they are nearby, but having them directly on the floor to just grab them and go run is so much faster. I also like keeping pocket watches on hand, as well as keeping some pizza in the courtyard. The best time to buy these trade items is when you do not need the inventory space to complete the rest of your trade route, like ribs after soap, or 4 stacks of pizza before bananas. Options 3, 4, and 5 are all done through training another skill at the same time. I'll refer to it as combo training because I can't think of anything better. Again, these aren't in any particular order, but option 3 would be to do merchant plus detective investigations. In order to do this, you'd have to try and pick trade items that are also near your investigation clues. Now, while I think they're awesome content, I personally do not like doing the investigations, so I can't really speak on any specifics here. I'm just aware that it's an option. Option 4 is one of my favorites, being merchant plus detective raids. Depending on your level and gear, it's actually possible to go out and clear a nearby raid and make it back within the 2-minute board reset. This grants you experience and 2 other skills, as well as around like 15% knowledge. Very good stuff. Option 5, probably being the most efficient, is merchant plus leatherworking. This will generate the most gold per hour in the game while training multiple skills. The goal with this one is to try and choose tasks that take you back to the docks, where the leather vendor is, such as plates, carrots, and sheep. However, since you will only be able to take 4 trade items to the docks for a clean inventory for leather, that leaves you with 2 freebie options. I like to fill these up with high reward trades like pocket watches. If I have 2 pocket watches already on hand, and my next board gives me good RNG with something like a 3rd pocket watch, so bananas, pizza, or curry, I'll take them and go out of my way for a very rewarding turn-in. Bonus points if that same board also gives you some carrots or plates, setting you up for your next turn-in, as again, you'll have 2 freebie slots during this leatherworking method. Speaking of detective and leatherworking, there are a lot of different types of milestones you can unlock through and for the merchant skill. For detective, each of the raids will open up a shortcut, allowing you to navigate Chronopolis a bit quicker. These shortcuts can have a significant impact on some trade items, such as sheep, Arganian, wine, and even soap. These same shortcuts still retain their relevance, if not go up significantly, once you unlock many more trade items, creating much more complex routes. You can also unlock a shortcut to the Fortunehold farm through the quest, The Battle of Fortunehold. Now, I only recommend doing this quest ASAP for the experience alone, as the shortcut itself doesn't really become useful until merchant level 191 with rhubarb. Fun fact, you can actually unlock the shortcut before the level 55 leatherworking requirement is needed. For leatherworking, as you level merchant, you will unlock discounts at the leather vendor, allowing you to generate a lot more silver per hour. For example, at my level 86, I make around 800 to 900 silver per hour, whereas somebody around level 180 or 200 is making about 2 gold per hour. If you click on the merchant icon, you can see each discount and the level requirement by looking for the orange text. The first discount starts at level 10 merchant. I would not recommend training leatherworking without these discounts. Please don't do that to yourself. I'm sure you are aware, as it's the same for literally every skill, but you unlock a new cape at levels 50, 100, 200, and 500. This is one of my favorite capes. One of the biggest, if not the biggest merchant milestone is level 132. This is when vendors start selling 2 trade items instead of 1, starting with soap and bath salts. So at level 179, for example, you can start taking plates, cups, carrots, and tomatoes instead of just plates and carrots. This is a very similar feeling and reward increase to receiving multiple runes when rune crafting in that other game. The last milestone is when you unlock a new set of trades creating an optimal route, such as pizza, soap, bananas, and pocket watches at level 49. The previous milestone amplifies these trade routes as they become easier to stack due to having multiple items from one starting source. This is when the trade routes become a bit more complex, as I stated earlier, with the shortcuts, making them even more useful. I want to go over a few points before going into some routing. The first being your mindset. Merchant is essentially problem solving. The board gives you a list of problems, and the solution is the least amount of travel time. As mentioned previously, you can lower this travel time by batching starting and finishing locations together. Now, this is easier said than done, but try and remember all vendor locations and where their trade items go. This will take time and effort in order to do. To help yourself get to this point, try and visualize the route before you do it. If this is hard at first, do not fret. Like any muscle, you can develop it through use, and the process will become easier to do over time. Try to avoid going somewhere unless you can buy or sell 2 trade items around 2 tiles from each other, such as soap, bananas, and watches, or plates, carrots, and sheep. Always take a new trade item whenever you unlock one for the first time, even if it isn't optimal, so that you can visually see where the starting and stopping points are, as well as get a bit of extra experience for completing it for the first time. Alright, let's get into some routing. Which route you take is heavily dependent on your goals and the merchant task board RNG as stated in the combo training and board chapters. From my experience, there are 4 optimal trade routes you can try and build. Again, there may be a 5th or even 6th trade route heavily revolving around detective investigations. However, I have little to zero experience with them, so I cannot comment. Now, up to this point, the guide has been very structured and, I've had a script going, but I honestly do not know how to show you this or describe or explain this thinking process other than literally opening up Paint and just going through the process. So, alright, well, this may be a little rambly, but I have 4 trade routes to try and go over and how they change depending on which options you get, what shortcuts you have available, and what your merchant level is, right? So, again, I'm going to try not to be rambly, but this is going to be very sporadic. I'm going to try my best. But to start off with very easy things first, let's say you're doing merchant and leatherworking, right? So you're going to want to try and stack those plates and carrots. Why? As well, plates and carrots, right? We'll start with the carrots. They start here at the green grocer, and you can take them all the way through here. You can take the shortcut if you have it, right? The carrots finish right here. Right? Your leather vendor is right here, and your leatherworking building is right here. It's very close by, right? Awesome stuff. The other option would be, your plates. If we take the plates, very similar, you can take them through the same path, and they get delivered right here. So again, it takes you directly to the docks for leatherworking. Very awesome stuff. However, what happens if you have, sheep to go along with it? Well, you wouldn't really want to take this path anymore because that doesn't take you through where the sheep are. So let's go back and let's say you get, oh, I accidentally resized it. See, we're doing crazy stuff, right? Very sporadic. Let's resize this back to what it was. Okay. So if we're doing carrots and plates with sheep, now, that changes our routing slightly, right? We're no longer going this way. We are now going to go up here, past the sheep, so we can buy them, and then take them down this way through the shortcut. Now, if you do not have this level 51 shortcut, then you can't really do sheep optimally, and this becomes like a bad trade item, right? Because the sheep here, they get delivered right here to the clock stall. So, pairing with plates, you can take them up here, buy your carrots, go through, buy your sheep, and then take them down through here as well towards the turn-in. Very similar to your carrots. You take them through here, right? Do the plate turn-in, do the carrot turn-in, come back, buy your leather, do your run, TP back, right? So that's kind of how that one operates. Now, what happens when things get a bit more complicated and you have more options with, there's ribs and steak and tomatoes and cups, right? There's all these other options once you get a higher level. So how does something like that operate? Well, let's say, for example, let's just go with one of everything instead of, well, this, we're not doing that one anymore. This one kind of gets removed when you're not doing just plates and carrots with these, right? Because you're not going down this way anymore when you start taking on these other trade items. So what does that look like if you have these other trade items? Okay, so your carrots, right? They take you. I'm just going to draw the line, and then we'll see how this unfolds, right? The carrots look really out of place like this. How about the plates? What do the plates look like? We go through there to buy them, and then we take them all the way down here as well, but then they go over here, right? Okay, those seem really far out of the way. However, these other options is what makes this kind of a bit better, being the cups here, right? We can take these cups up through this way as well, and they go all the way through here, and they get turned in right here. Again, that's what makes this pathway with the plates and carrots a bit more acceptable, right? Because you're doing a lot of that run on the way for another turn-in. Now let's look at the tomatoes here. Again, the tomatoes, they come from the green grocer, and they go down this main line as well to the kitchen. So again, that's all moving in the same direction. Very good stuff. Let's take a look at the ribs. The ribs come this way, all the way through here as well, and they get turned in at the same place that the cups get turned in. And they're side by side, right? So this is fantastic. It's literally you buy them in the same location pretty much, and they get turned in at the exact same location. All of this is moving through the center. Now there's one more option here. With what color can I use? We're gonna use like a purple. Why not? With the steak, where does the steak get turned in? Well, very similar. Through the main here, and they get turned in right here on your way to everything else. So you can see how this trade route, right, everything moves in the same direction. And if you have the options with plates and carrots, you may have like 2 plates and a carrot or something like that, right? So you have 3 things you're running down to the docks. And this could still be a leather working run, because it takes you to the docks so you can continue your route. Or you could finish your route down here at the docks and teleport back to the board for your reset, right? For your next trade items. So this is kind of how the first trade route operates. Now, the second trade route that I'm going to show you can honestly use some of these items in it as well, so they kind of interchange a bit, but I'll touch on that a tiny bit. I kind of just want to focus on the main routes that I've discovered, and, you can go from there. Okay, here's the second route. Similar to the first, things can change depending on which trade items you get, as well as which shortcuts you have available. So let's just begin. It usually starts with pizza or curry, right? Pizza and curry. It can also, if you have the shortcut, it can also start with pumpkins and rhubarb. So again, I don't have the shortcut. I'm 205 merchant, have done the shortcut, okay? But anyway, moving on. That's a big mistake. I should have done this an eternity ago. But anyway, so starting off, yeah, usually you start over in the kitchen with the chef with the pizza and curry. Now, again, I like to, this is a side note, right? Whenever I'm going down here, I'll buy some pizza or curry and I'll drop it right here so that I don't have to run down here and grab it every time. I'll already have a stockpile right here, so when I'm running through, I can just grab it and leave, right? Yeah. Anyway, so starting off, right, you'll run through this way, down to grab your pizza and the curry, if you have it, and then you will run back up this way. Now, if you have 83 Detective, you can run up here and take the shortcut through this way. If you have soap on the trade route, you can run up here and grab the soap. And if not, you can continue through to deliver your pizza, and we'll just grab this one. And your curry, right? The curry gets delivered here. Now, if you have some soap, I'll just draw the soap line in here really quick. The soap line, the reason why this is good for this trade route is it comes down here to the meat vendor, right? Now, while you're over here delivering your pizza and curry, you can grab bananas, which, you know, they come this way. And, oh, that's overlapping. Oh, just a whole bunch. Is this a yellow or a blue line? Anyway, the bananas get delivered over here to the clockwork stall. Very good stuff, right? It's just on the way. It's on the way, right? That is the thing that we're trying to focus on here, is grabbing one item to another location, doing something along the way, as well as buying a trade item that where you deliver it, right? So the pizza gets delivered to the bananas, you buy the bananas, you deliver them, you're good, right? The curry gets delivered to the watches, you buy the watches, and then you can deliver them, you're good. That is the general concept behind this. So where do the pocket watches go? Now, these ones are a little bit out of the way, the tin ones, as, you know, you kind of have to take them with you through to go deliver your soap if you have it, or your bananas, and then once you do that, then you kind of teleport, right? Back to the guild hall, or the merchant guild, where you pick up more board quests, and then you would come through here and use one of these shortcuts to go deliver it. Or alternatively, this is where you can kind of mix in, you know, the previous trade route that I just showed you. If you have ribs or steak or something like that, or even cups, you could come down here while you're delivering your soap, pick up some ribs, and then you can go deliver your ribs over here, or your steak, you know, right here. And if you do that, well, with watches, well, guess what? Now you're already, you know, you're super close to the turn-in, so you may as well run up here to go turn it in, right? But if you don't have the ribs or the steak or the cups or something like that, you can, you know, teleport over, grab more board quests, and then go turn it in. And depending on, you know, whatever you picked up on that board, you could do one of the next trade routes, or, you know, that's up to you, right? That's where things get a little messy. But yeah, that is, oh yeah, I forgot. Again, we're being sporadic here, okay? This is off, there's no script here, we're rambling. Anyway, so another option, another starting option, instead of the pizza and curry, would be the pumpkins and rhubarb. What color can I use for these? I'll use we already got an orange. You know, let's go crazy. We'll use a blue for pumpkins, because why not? So, when it comes to the pumpkins, right, you would teleport to the outskirts, and you would run up to go grab your pumpkins, and then you would take them through the shortcut, grabbing your bananas, pocket watches, or maybe even soap. And wait, no, we already have a blue. I am crazy. We'll use a brown or a burgundy. Okay, we'll come up here, right? We'll grab those. We'll come through here, and then we'll pick up any other trade items we may have, bananas, pocket watchers, soap. And then we'll take these as well through this very congested area now, and go deliver them. I believe they get delivered right here. So, yeah, it's on the way. You're starting here and grabbing along the way and delivering it while having other options available to you. It's very similar to the rhubarb. Where does that get turned in again? And then the rhubarb will get turned in. Oh, that's a very similar color. Hold on a second. The rhubarb will get turned in through here at the soap shop. So it gives you another reason, right? This is another reason why rhubarb is so good, and I don't really find a use for this shortcut just for pumpkins. But if you have rhubarb as well, this is you know, a decently high turn-in, and it's literally just along the way to the soap shop where you could buy your soap and be on your way, right? So it's this one looks very messy and sporadic, but it has two starting locations. One being up here at the farm, and the other starting location being down here in the kitchen, right? So you wouldn't want to take, like, pizza and rhubarb, because they have two different starting locations. That's just feels weird, right? So Anyway, that's kind of, this one is a little bit more messy, but I hope this kind of explains how it, things with two different starting locations, but having the same like middle options, as well as it kind of even bleeding into the previous trade route that I showed you with the plates and cups and ribs and whatnot. These ones are really good, especially if you're moving through the center. Now this next one doesn't have very many moving parts here, right? There's only 4 trade items, and it's actually really quick to run. Another point with this one is I only really found this usable in a short period of time from like levels, it starts at like level 100 when you unlock the carriage clock, right? But I really only found use for this for like 30 levels between that level 100 to 130 range before you unlock multiple items per trade vendor. So this one starts off, well, the 4 items, right, is the homespun cloth, the Arganian wine, the carriage clock, and the sheep, if you just so happen to get one of those over the other 3 trade items. So how this one works is we start off, by running from the merchant board, right? And you would be coming down here to the docks. Once you're down here, this homespun cloth goes just through, through the raid shortcut. Literally right here. That is one quick trade route, right? Now, the other item here, the wine, very similar. It goes along the same trade path up through here, through the back alleys, and then this one also goes through another den shortcut, right? So you need 2 shortcuts here for this one to be possible. So it's kind of, you may not have one or both of these shortcuts, and then doing these items wouldn't really be worthwhile. But if you do have both shortcuts, you'd come through here, up this way. I think this is level 51? Yeah. You'd come up through here, and then the wine gets turned in right here. So, I should actually put an X here as well, because why not? Now, the last item on the list, very similar to the wine, it starts over here in the clock stall and comes up here through the same pathway and gets delivered right here. Now, the reason why we take the sheep is if we just so happen to get like 2 sheep or something like that, right? You can just buy them when you go to deliver your clocks and then run them back down through the shortcut to the clock stall. So 2 items actually get turned in at the clock stall. Now, how this may be useful is you could be trying to do some plates and carrots, right? You're trying to stack those, but you get some sheep and you grab the sheep and all of a sudden you get like, cloth, the wine, and the clock stalls all on the same board, right? So you have like 2 sheep and then you have these 3 trade items. Well, there's a 5 trade route you can go and run, right? It's very quick, very simple, but it does have the requirement of needing 2 raid shortcuts. The last trade route that I would like to talk about is the one that's really good at trying to maximize your downtime between, bad RNG boards and whatnot. I like to, when I'm trying to build my trade routes, I will take some of these items when I see them, and then these will be the first items that I discard out of my bounties once I get an item, for one of the bigger trade routes, right? So how this one operates is, this is also really good when you have dropped items on the ground. This one's fantastic for that. But anyway, how this one operates is the caviar here, starts at Janessa in the Merchants Guild, and this item goes up through here. This shortcut is quicker, and then it just goes right up to Boggs Antiques. Nice and quick and easy. Now, very, very similarly, if you do that trade route, you can, and you happen to get this wine, I forget what, I think Sear Seed, something wine. Anyway, if you have this one, after you deliver the caviar, you can run over here and grab this and take it back down. Very, very awesome. That's kind of how that one goes, right? Or you can teleport, or you can do, hold on a second. Okay. That's one way of doing it. Another option, I'm gonna get rid of that line for now. Another item is this painting. How this painting works is you take it through here. Now you could come in here and drop it on the ground. Very similar to the beef joints, right? You'd want to drop them on the ground. But the painting goes up through here as well, and it gets turned in there. Now when you do that, you can pick up the wines and, you know, take them back to the starting point, either by teleporting. But if you happen to have the beef joints as well, these ones get handed in right here. So what this means is you can actually take these beef joints up here with you, you know, go deliver the wine, and then you take them down here to deliver them, and then you could either teleport back or simply run back to go hand in your wine, right? So this wine, that's why this line has been really messed up, right? It's probably super confusing, but taking the wine down here, you would go deliver with the beef joints, and then you take it back, or you would teleport. So that's kind of how this one works. Here, I'll put that line back. That's kind of how this one works. Right? Either one of these options is completely fine. Now, how to make this better is if you do indeed have the beef joints on the ground and the paintings on the ground, right? That removes the need to run 2 tiles out of 3 tiles out of your way to go grab these items, because they're already right here. So you can come down from the board, pick up the items, and just, you know, as well as buy your caviar, and just run up here, deliver it, buy your wine, deliver your paintings, run down here, deliver the beef joints, run back, deliver your wine. Nice and simple, super quick route here. And to go, this is where the other dropped items also come into play too, because if you remember before with the ribs, if you drop some ribs on the ground, yeah, those ribs would literally just get delivered right here, right? So that is like, that's really good. Right? Like that's really good. That's really quick. Another dropped item that you could do is very similar. Like, no, actually, we'll change that to something a bit better. Yeah. You could drop some tin watches on the ground, right? Drop some watches on the ground. And when you do that, you could pick them up, and similar to your caviar, you could just run them up here when you have them. Nice and super simple, nice and quick. It's all just nice and congested in this one little area, especially if you take the time on bad RNG boards to get yourself prepared for this, right? And as your trade routes are going and you get more experienced with everything, you'll just naturally be buying these items. Like, let's say you're returning from a trade route and you don't have any dropped items on the ground, you could just run over here, grab these items, and then go to your board, you know? So it's yeah, it's very, very convenient and nice to have those dropped items around. And that just about covers it. I'm sure there's a few smaller intricacies or another trade item or two that I, you know, missed or didn't touch on, like the vases. I know people really like doing the vases into the Henderson's meat, but I don't really like those. But anyway, I hope this has been helpful in trying to understand the mindset behind how Merchant operates. So, thank you so much for watching. If you have any other comments or anything, you know, throw them in the comment section. I would love to have a conversation going down there about this skill, just because it's so intricate, so fun, and fascinating, and everybody has a different idea on how they would like to train it. So I may have missed something. I'm just hoping that this is helpful in some way. But anyway, thank you so much for watching. If you found this helpful, please feel free to like, comment, and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next one. Take care.